Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at meta. It is time for another update, and today we'll be discussing the potential of a direct breakout to new all-time highs from the current levels, or around this area anyway. But before we get there, I would like to go quickly through the larger time frame for any of you who might be new. And here we are tracking a larger 1-2 setup where now we would be looking for a third wave to the upside. Now within this wave 3 we shouldn't necessarily expect to form it in a straight line. We should be prepared to build it as a larger 5-wave move to the upside, where right now we could be building an initial wave 1 up. Now even within this pattern I would still like to see further extensions in my bullish interpretation within which I'm tracking an impulse in this area. I believe we are actually due still a few additional highs before we can even look for a more significant top, before we even have a 5-wave structure to the upside within this area. Now in this case we are tracking here a potential series of 1-2 setups to have formed, and then a third wave to the upside. But I have to say, at this point there is realistically no confirmation that this third wave is complete, because if this is really a wave 3, I could easily see this 5th wave extend, where I could consider this to be a 1-2 setup. Now this is no guarantee, which is why we also have this larger area of support in white for a potential wave 4 that could be tracked, where as long as we hold these levels, realistically I cannot be really looking for a bearish interpretation. We can push as low as the 50% retracement at the $467 level, and we may still continue in this uptrend within the interpretation of an impulse. But I just wanted to highlight that we can right now still track an even more bullish scenario that still allows for upside within this wave 3, and that would be what we are tracking here in yellow, where I would consider this to be a wave 1 up, a wave 2 down. This is the same structure as in the white scenario so far. Then a third wave up, fourth wave down, still all the same. But then in the white interpretation I'm considering a possible fifth wave top in this area, whereas in the yellow interpretation we are considering a potential 1-2 setup to be forming, where right now we are following along very nicely within this area, because we have a potential ABC structure done, and we have reached perfectly here the 61.8% retracement before creating here the reaction to the upside. Now in the previous video we were tracking a potential area of resistance that would have allowed us to look even for a potential impulse to the downside, where this could have been a 1-2, then another 1-2 here, a third wave down, fourth wave up, and then a fifth wave, and then we could have seen another 4-5, and we would have in fact had a 5-wave move to the downside in a 1-2 3 fourth and the fifth. This would have been a possible 5-wave structure, but we have managed here to break above the resistance levels, which makes this interpretation in orange very unlikely. Now this doesn't mean we cannot continue in a downtrend here. Even if we broke here the 50% retracement, we have removed the likelihood of the orange interpretation playing out, where we would have formed an impulse to the downside. But it does not mean that this form or this structure could not shift into a larger correction that is part of the wave 4 in white, or realistically even the wave 2 in yellow that could still see a reset. However, we have a 3-wave move to the downside. We have a full structure within a potential correction in a wave 2, and realistically we don't need any additional lows. On top of that, we have pushed here perfectly into the 61.8% retracement before starting our reversal to the upside, and on top of that we may even be able to track here in this area a potential 5-wave move to the upside that could allow for an interesting 1-2 setup in this area, where from a larger time frame perspective we could be looking, at least in the yellow scenario, at a double 1-2-1-2 to be formed, where a third wave could be seen with quite high potential to form quite a significant structure in a larger wave 3 to the upside. Because keep in mind, this wave 1 could extend into a larger wave 1 to the upside. In fact, this is quite likely if we are to build a third wave in the yellow interpretation. And then if we are to look for the ideal target of the larger wave 3, in yellow we would be looking here at the 138.2% extension of the wave 1, which is the the $1,170 level. This is quite a serious extension we should be prepared for in a third wave if we really are to build this structure, this pattern that we are tracking in the yellow scenario. Now with that said, we are looking for the potential movement to the upside, we will be watching out in a smaller time frame the area of support relevant for a potential 1-2 setup, but I also want to have in place here a larger area of resistance we should be prepared for. Yeah, we need to be prepared for a larger correction within either scenario, because even in the yellow interpretation we still have room within the area of support, and it is not needed that we have actually already bottomed. Now, with that said, we will be tracking this in orange, and we are watching the levels between the $655 all the way up to the $744 level at the 78.6% retracement, where yeah, breaking above this level would be already a good signal, although yeah, I will mention we have still significant structural resistance levels at these previous highs that have formed and have caused a more serious reaction to the downside each time. Yeah, each time we have formed one of those significant highs, we have formed a level of resistance. We have that in place, and we need to be prepared to face some headwinds if we are to push into those levels. Now, with that said, in the smaller time frame, I'm tracking here a potential initial 1-2 setup in yellow, and for that we have an area of support that we can be tracking at the levels between the $639 all the way down to the $601 level, where so far we have pushed here within a 3-wave move to the downside perfectly into the 38.2% retracement, and honestly, that is all we need to have a full correction within the wave 2. Now, I'm not going to say that, yeah, this is the bottom, because again, we could easily see extensions. This could be a larger A, B, C pattern that could still take us to lower levels, but on top of the Fibonacci retracement here, the 38.2% retracement, we had some structural support as well, and allowed us to create a more significant reaction to the upside within this area. Now, even though it is a very, very small time frame, there is nothing too indicative within the structure that has formed in this area that would suggest a bottom is likely formed, so I am still very, very cautious and watching for a possible extension within this wave 2. And here I would be watching the levels between the $653 level all the way up to the $668.4 level. Again, we have some structural resistance along the way. Yeah, we have also been struggling with this initial push to the upside, as there was structural resistance as well at the 38.2% retracement, and I don't necessarily believe that we have topped within this correction, but there is again no signal that this structure should extend higher even within the resistance area, because we have sufficient waves for a 3-wave move to the upside within the area of resistance. The same, we have a 3-wave structure into the area of support on the larger scale, and yeah, technically this correction could extend, although what I would not want to see is a larger 5-wave move to the downside to still form within this area. Although, since we have retraced nearly 100% within this potential 1-2 setup, I don't necessarily believe it is a high likelihood interpretation that this should form a larger 5-wave move, and even if we push lower, I might still consider it to form within a larger ABC structure in a more direct fashion within this wave 2 in yellow. But again, from a larger time frame perspective, we'll go through all of it again. Yeah, we have here the area of support for the larger wave 2 at the levels between the $655.8 all the way down to the $534.7 level. We were looking for this area of support with decent interest. It was an interesting setup. It was within the larger area of support for the wave 4 in white as well, which, by the way, this could have also bottomed. And then we have our initial 5-wave move to the upside, yeah, within this area, and we are looking for an additional area of support. It is your choice if you are looking for an entry within this area. I'm just pointing out we are having here an interesting setup that could be used and could result in quite significant movement to the upside. And even if this is not to unfold within the larger pattern, the larger 5-wave move, we may at least have decent probabilities to forming at least an ABC structure within this larger resistance area in orange. And for now, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. And by the way, yeah, I am still on top of having a lot of requests, so it may take some time. But yeah, for now, have a nice day. Bye bye.